Okay, show of hands, is there anyone here who would not walk right into the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender right now? Yeah, I didn't think so, and that's because the world of the beloved animated series feels so real. Part of that is how the world changes as time moves on. Let's analyze some of those changes between Avatar and Legend of Korra.
I told him to say that!
I think the biggest change between the two series is that the second one actually has some semblance of world peace. Let's face it, the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender was so torn up by a century of war that it makes the world of The Walking Dead seem kind of cozy. Pretty much every location in the original series had people suffering due to the war in some way or another. There were invasions, refugees, traitors, and one seriously messed up teenage girl who was way too good at conquering cities. Looking back at it now, it's amazing that the show was able to be so much fun considering how the grim shadow of war hung over everywhere they went. The Legend of Korra, however, was marked by a period of relative peace. Aang and the gang managed to actually make good on their promise to defeat the Fire Lord and bring peace to the land. If anything, the Legend of Korra's problems you could arguably say were caused by too much peace. After a period of incredible change, the world was beset upon by a ton of new ideas, some of them very destructive. If The Legend of Korra teaches us anything, it's that world peace is something each generation has to earn for itself. One of the first things that you notice is that technology has advanced by a staggering degree. Seriously, the original series may have shown some cool tech like tanks and airships, but most of the world seemed pretty much trapped in a medieval style of life. Yet, over the course of a generation, the world changed completely. Suddenly there were cars, radios, electric lights, and giant robot armies. You might have thought that the information age at the turn of the 20th century was impressive, but it had nothing on this. Part of this was due to an overwhelming amount of talent existing in the original series timeline. Team Avatar is always coming across a genius inventor, a bending innovator, or someone who uses ancient wisdom to build new ideas. Sokka alone was able to use his weirdo creative mind to do some incredible things, like helping with designs for an underwater fleet. The problem was that many of these people were on opposing sides of a very long war, and once that was over, they had nothing to do but share ideas and innovate new technologies. I have always found that I get a lot more work done when I don't feel threatened that a maniac will, use the powers of a comet to wipe out an entire continent. Here I thought it was just me. We see a ton of cool cities in Avatar: The Last Airbender. While these cities utilized bending in clever ways, there was always something missing. Each city was very much representative of one nation, one bending style, and one ideology. There was very little harmony in the original series where you have multiple cultures living together in peace. That's why Republic City is by far my favorite in the franchise. From the very start of Legend of Korra, Republic City is depicted as a fun 1920s New York-style metropolis populated by people from all over the bending world. Each of their identities is perfectly blended together without any having to give up their culture. That goes from everything to the political structure to the gangs. It also realistically shows the strife that can come when you pack a city full of differing people with differing ideologies. Toph Beifong may very well be the coolest character in the whole freaking franchise. She may have started out as a sheltered girl who was held back by her overprotective parents, but she ended up as one of the toughest benders in the world. She also revolutionized earth bending forever by figuring out how to bend the tiny pieces of earth inside metal. In The Legend of Korra, it was a bending art that revolutionized the world. Metal bending is arguably the most impressive bending art that we see in Legend of Korra. While we got to see a lot of variations on the old bending styles in the original series, innovation seemed to plateau a bit in the sequel series. Metal bending, however, was perfected to a ridiculous degree in such a short amount of time. The most impressive metal bender we see is Kuvira, who was able to take on the fully trained Avatar. A master firebender like Ozai couldn't do that, with Sozin's Comet powering him. The Avatar franchise is made up of two parts. The first part is a deeply intricate world with complex spiritual and philosophical ideas. The second part is the pure, unadulterated fun. Yeah, for a show that's mostly about the responsibility of all of us to find peace and balance within an ever-changing world, it does have quite a bit of childlike joy packed into every season. While the first series definitely gave us a lot of penguin sledding silliness, The Legend of Korra made the fun very serious by introducing a really cool sport. I will say that pro bending was the element of the second series that totally 100% sold me on what the sequel could bring to the franchise. It was fun, exciting, easy to understand, and a great way to build the new Team Avatar without a big war plot line to push them together. Does anybody want to start a pro bending fantasy league? Huh? So, while Avatar was the best kids show on during its original run, fight me all day about it, Ben 10 fans, but you know it's true, there were times when the show crossed the line into seriously adult territory. Perhaps the greatest example of this was when Katara came across a waterbender who could bend the blood inside people's veins. Yeah, hold on a second. No, I'm not gonna be sick. I got it. Okay, we're good. This disgusting bending technique was the basis for Avatar's most chilling chapter, where not only was Katara forced to bear witness to this perversion of her bending style, but actually was forced to use it in order to save the day. After that, there was no cheerful wrapping up scene, no sarcastic comment from Sokka that brought the whole adventure together, just a deep, unsettling pit in your stomach that never truly goes away. Kid stuff, huh? Am I right? Unfortunately, this morbidly fascinating art was perfected by the Legend of Korra. The villainous Amon was able to bloodbend without the help of a moon, and could even use it to take away people's bending. If they ever do make a third Avatar series, maybe enough with the bloodbending. Some things don't need to advance with time. Let that one go. If you could not tell from the title of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the original series was tragically bereft of airbenders. Sure, we got to see a few in a flashback here and there, but mostly we were relegated to only seeing the art through how Aang used it. While Aang's creative use of airbending never got old, it was really cool when Legend of Korra managed to bring more airbenders in through Aang's children and cosmic happenstance. We got to see how some people might use airbending without Aang's rigid moral code. Perhaps most interestingly, we got to see the villain Zahir use it to attack the Avatar with ferocious skill. While I don't think he matched up to Aang's talent with airbending, he was able to perform certain techniques that hadn't been mastered in generations. Most notably, he could actually fly without the aid of a glider. It's forgivable that in the first episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Southern Water Tribe looks absolutely terrible. The scale of the other cities across the world hadn't yet been determined, so the Southern Water Tribe's puny population was not that noticeable yet. On rewatch though, you have to wonder how the Southern Water Tribe didn't have more together. I know that the war hit it pretty hard, but the Northern Water Tribe was a beautiful ice fortress that even Elsa from Frozen would be jealous of. Luckily, after the events of the first series, they actually went back to the Southern Water Tribe and made it an actual place that anyone would want to go to. By the time Korra gets there, you would not be faulted for not recognizing it at all. What was a few huts and igloos in the snow was now a beautiful city worthy of standing toe-to-toe with the one in the north. Too bad all those evil spirits had to ruin things. Why don't shows ever just let you explore a fictional city without the forces of evil conspiring to destroy it? You know, the forces of evil have really hurt the tourism industry in the Avatar world. I really love Avatar: The Last Airbender, if you couldn't tell. I think its art style, writing, and acting are some of the best in animation history. I say that because I've got to admit that the episode The Ember Island Players was a big swing and a miss for me. While the idea of watching a play that interpreted the events of the series through a Fire Nation perspective was interesting, this was one of the few episodes where the execution utterly failed. It just led me to believe that the plays in the Fire Nation were just the absolute worst without me really taking anything substantial from the experience. In The Legend of Korra, things advance quite a bit, but the quality still seems to be all over the place. The series introduces the concept of actual movies, or movers as they call it, because everything has to have a weird name. While the idea of movies set in the Avatar universe sound great, Nuktuk, Hero of the South was just garbage. I mean, not the Last Airbender levels of garbage, but still pretty bad. By far, the best running joke in the original series was the occasional appearance by the poor cabbage merchant, or cabbage man as all the cool kids call him, who was always having his business ruined by Team Avatar's hijinks.
My cabbages!
After you've seen Legend of Korra, however, you know that these events were only small trials in the life of one of the most brilliant businessmen the world ever saw. I'm talking about the founder of Cabbage Corp, one of the greatest companies in Legend of Korra. For the next Avatar series, can we just have a social network style show that details the backstabbing and business brilliance that led the Cabbage Man to such extreme success? Tell me you wouldn't watch that show, come on.
Wait, you like that? It didn't make any sense!
There you have it. All the biggest changes in between Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. Which changes were your favorite? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Screen Rant. See ya!